Here we are once again with a Daily Fail headline about the National Trust and the so-called woke agenda. Supposedly, the new chairman is not a fan and doesn't believe that new or alternative historical narratives should be allowed to eclipse or potentially replace established stories about, in particular, in this instance, National Trust properties. But this whole approach to history really puts me in mind of that old adage, the received wisdom that history is written by the victor in war, in social hierarchy, in international competition, in local discussion and arguments about who gets to build a factory where. Supposedly, the victor writes the historical narrative, what people will remember. But there's a big problem with this presumption, with this received wisdom, that it's blind to the fact that actually histories continue, other histories continue. There is the history of those who lose a war. There is the history of those who are downtrodden by social hierarchy and by their boss, for example, in a factory town. Down the mine, this kind of thing. There are other histories. And it therefore leads to the entirely flawed perspective that there can only be a history, the history of the victor. And therefore, if the history changes, well, you've lost, haven't you? It's incredibly flawed that it leads people to think that history is a monolith, and any other narrative coming into it, or augmenting it, or changing it, or altering it, actually requires total replacement. It's a replacement theory, I suppose you could say. Now, where have I heard that before?